I come to Colin and I say, hey, I just wanted to try it out. I just wanted to see how well this thing worked. It was working well in testing and beta testing, and I wanted a real physique athlete, a competitive one, to try it. And I knew he was going to be going to some big competitions this year. At that time, I didn't know he was doing Olympia yet. And then fast forward, he just told you what happened. It just it works well. And I just want to point out for the viewers or listeners that we'll have in time, especially contest prep folks, it's usually you drop 500 calories at the beginning of the season, usually. And that's your first pound a week. And then from there, you either start dropping by 100-calorie increments, depending on the person. Some do 75. Some weeks you're up in cardio. You're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays for 10 minutes of cardio. Then you're getting to 20 minutes, and then you're getting up to where at some point you're 50 minutes, almost an hour. Then you're adding another day in. So it kind of takes that crescendo effect of calorie or cardio. And what I like from a lot of the science I've seen is actually, instead of doing that when you hit plateaus, that you actually use the science to track your week-to-week goal. So instead of waiting until you get to a plateau, let's go ahead and see it as far ahead of time as we possibly can, which is 7 days in the past. You're 7 days behind. You're always trying to keep up. And that was really the point of this whole entire thing is to take the emotion out, track it week to week, and just try to pinpoint accuracy to you're not wasting time, having to rush cardio, slash calories at the end, which you and I both know affects the muscle on stage. You're going to deplete it. You're going to deflate it. You're not going to be full. You're going to lose lean muscle mass, which is no good. So that was the whole point. So Congo handed it over. Now, let's go from you handed it over. Let's go to the first time it was actually going to increase your calories again because you had surpassed your goal. And you said, no, let's dig. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So tell them what happened when you dug. That just
dude. So I mean, and that's the thing, like, because with Matt's, knowledge of physique athletes, we there was some interjection that was necessary at times. It's like, hey, okay, now I'm 6 weeks out, or I was maybe 8 weeks out at the time. And it's like, all right, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I like to be ready ahead of time, as opposed to trying to slide in at the last minute, just like you're talking about, because then it's going to cause you to flatten out. Your body's just be depleted because you added all this extra energy expenditure last minute, type of thing. So anyway, I like to be ready further out. So I'm like, let's dig. And we did dig. And you gave me some dig numbers that like were absolutely legit. And we did, and I think in that week, I think I lost like 5 pounds. It was crazy. My body responded tremendously, and
I can't remember exactly, but without looking back at the log, which we have, but I think it's like 5.2 pounds or something.
Yeah, it was, and I remember it. I'm just like, wow. So naturally, after that, we went back into it increased us, or you increased it manually, one or the other. But it was just it was like, okay, well, this this works, and you created the dig obviously based on the the literature and what we should do, and you put me into that aggressive deficit, and there it went. So
yeah, so at that phase for you all out there, it's we chose to use the revert option on the dietary interface, which reverted him the week before, and then he said, I'm definitely wanting to dig. So I took him down to what knowledge I know to be his not his minimums, like peak week depleting, but definitely a minimum caloric intake that's really pushing the edge of much lower than that, and he would be in a range that we would say is just unhealthy in general. Now, could he do it for a week? Sure, he could, but that's not the idea. I like to follow those parameters. So we do that. When he loses that large amount of weight, the system literally kicks you back up. And if I remember correctly, it almost puts you in a surplus for what we think your metabolic rate was at that time.
It did.
To make up, because it wants to catch up and keep you on pace and not too fast, the loss for the lean body mass. And that's the difference in the interface for you all out there in a contest prep. Contest prep, no one's ever going to tell you to use an app or anything else the whole way. I'm not saying you definitely couldn't. You could, but you want a coach to do what I did here, which is I moved it back down to where he was still in a deficit. It just wasn't a big deficit. I wanted his body, it was roughly about 500 calorie deficit, back to that. I wanted Colin's body to know that it wasn't in such a deep starvation mode anymore. And just kind of get back to that smooth loss and not put his body through that much trauma, and also lean body mass. We just didn't want to really complete him that much. And then we also knew that the next part of the phase that I like a lot was we knew you were going to have a diet break.
Built from experience, backed by science, and battle proven.